Okay. Hi, my name is Amy Martin, and I'm the president of Galva Arts Council. Some people in here might know me as Amy, and some people in here might know me as Miss Martin. We're so excited to be doing these live videos for the kids for Read-Aloud. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on what we have coming tomorrow. So tomorrow we have the Bernstein Bears junk food. And we're hoping to have a lineup for next week. I'm working on that to get a lineup for next week. And we won't do it on Monday just because it's Memorial Day. So we're gonna try to do some stories Tuesday through Friday. And I'm hoping to get some guest readers. So I'm gonna keep working on that. So fingers crossed we can get that done. First, I also want to remind everyone that this is a free event. So if you would like to donate to the Galva Arts Council, you can either go to our Facebook page and click on the big donate button, or you could always send a donation to our P.O. Box, which is P.O. Box 29 in Galva, Illinois. Okay, so that's all of that. Let's go ahead and share my screen here so that we can get started. So today's story is Curious George. Sorry, it always takes me a minute here to get this going. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, there we go. So we are, just so you know, we are live on our Facebook page. That's a new thing. Oh, now it looks like it just ended on me again. I don't know what's going on. For some reason, I can't seem to get the live feed to stay. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm not going to worry about it right now, and I'm going to have to play with it later. Okay, so on to what we're doing. So our story today is Curious George by H.A. Ray. Okay. So this is George. He lived in Africa. He was very happy, but he had one fault. He was too curious. One day, George saw a man. He had on a large yellow straw hat. The man saw George too. What a nice little monkey, he thought. I would like to take him home with me. The man put his hat on the ground, and of course George was curious. He came down from the tree to look at the large yellow hat. There you go. The hat had been on the man's head. George thought it would be nice to have it on his own head. He picked it up and put it on. The hat covered George's head. He couldn't see. The man picked him up quickly and popped him into a bag. George was caught. The man with the big yellow hat put George into a little boat, and a sailor rowed them both across the water to a big ship. George was sad, but he was still a little curious. On the big ship, things began to happen. The man took off the bag. George sat on a little stool, and the man said, George, I am going to take you to a big zoo in a big city. You will like it there. Now run along and play, but don't get into trouble. George promised to be good, but it is easy for little monkeys to forget. On the deck, he found some seagulls. He wondered how they could fly. He was very curious. Finally, he had to try. It looked easy, but oh, what happened? First this, and then this. Where is George? The sailors looked and looked. At last they saw him struggling in the water and almost all tired out. Man overboard, the sailors cried as they threw him a lifebelt. George caught it and held on. At last he was safe on board. After that, George was more careful to be a good monkey, until at last the long trip was over. George said goodbye to the kind sailors, and he and the man with the yellow hat walked off the ship onto the shore and into the city to the man's house. After a good meal and a good pipe, George felt very tired. He crawled into bed and fell asleep at once. The next morning, the man telephoned the zoo. George watched him. He was fascinated. Then the man went away. George was curious. He wanted to telephone too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What fun! That silly monkey. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. George had telephoned the fire station. The firemen rushed to the telephone. Hello, hello, they said, but there was no answer. Then they looked for the signal on the big map that showed where the telephone call had come from. They didn't know it was George. They thought it was a real fire. Hurry, hurry, hurry! The firemen jumped on the fire engines and onto the hooks and ladders. Ding dong, ding dong. Everyone out of their way. Hurry, hurry, hurry! The firemen rushed into the house. They opened the door. No fire, only a naughty little monkey. Oh, catch him, they cried. George tried to run away. He almost did, but he got caught in the telephone wire. And, oh my, look what happened. How crazy is that? A thin fireman caught one arm and a fat fireman caught the other. You fooled the fire department, they said. We will have to shut you up where you can't do any more harm. They took him away and shut him in prison. Oh my, look at that. George wanted to get out. He climbed up to the window to try the bars. Just then the watchman came in. He got on the wooden bed to catch George, but the watchman was too big and heavy. The bed tipped up. The watchman fell over, and quick as lightning, George ran out through the open door. He hurried through the building and out onto the roof. And then he was lucky to be a monkey. Out he walked on the telephone wires quickly and quietly over the guard's head. George walked away. He was free. Down in the street outside the prison walls stood a balloon man. A little girl bought a balloon for her brother. George watched. He was curious again. He felt he must have a bright red balloon. He reached over and tried to help himself, but oh, what do you think happened? Oh, hold on, having a trouble there turning. Instead of one balloon, the whole bunch broke loose. In an instant, the wind whisked them away, and with them went George, holding tight with both hands. Up, up, up he sailed, higher and higher. The houses looked like toy houses, and the people like dolls. George was frightened. He held on very tight. At first, the wind blew in great gusts. Then it quieted. Finally, it stopped blowing altogether. George was very tired. Down, down he went, bump, onto the top of a traffic light. Everyone was surprised. The traffic got all mixed up. George didn't know what to do. And then he heard someone call, George! He looked down and saw his friend, the man with the big yellow hat. There he is. George was very happy. The man was happy too. George slid down the post, and the man with the big yellow hat put him under his arm. Then he paid the balloon man for all the balloons. And then George and the man climbed into the car, and at last away they went. Where did they go? To the zoo. What a nice place for George to live. The end. All right, that is Curious George. Now hold on one second. I'm just gonna make sure that no one new joined in. Looks like we're good. Okay, I'll share my screen again. All right, so we are going to make, oh, let me do this as I'm talking. We're gonna make a Curious George by using our hands, or using our hand, I should say, just one hand. So let me get that out of the way. Okay, hold on, I wanna check something real quick. Okay. So, you need a piece of white paper, you need a pencil, and you need crayons. So the colors that we will use today, whoops, hold on, I dropped one. Where did it go? Oh, sorry about that. The colors we're gonna use today are green, blue, brown, black, and I put tan on the list, something kind of tan or skin color. You might use your brown real light if you don't happen to have one, or maybe use your pink real light. Anything like that would work. Okay, so first we're gonna use our hand. So he needs to go, so your paper needs to be, here if you can see it this way, needs to go long ways, okay? Up and down this way, long ways, not across, okay? And, well, actually, well, either way would probably work. Actually, I think I might switch it. I think I'm gonna go this way. I'm gonna go this way, going across. So George is gonna go kind of middle of the paper. So you're gonna, you guys have maybe done this before, trace your hand like if you're making a turkey. A lot of people like to do that at Thanksgiving time. Okay, so we're gonna trace our hand, okay? Now, right now, the easiest way to do this is to kind of think of our paper as upside down for a second, because we're gonna have to flip it back over to make it work, because we want our, this part, our fingers, right, to be down, okay? And the other odd thing is we're not gonna use our thumb, okay? So to do it though, you're gonna probably want, so about the middle of the paper here, let's see here, I'm gonna try to, I wanna go a little more, so kind of middle, your palm of your hand should be in the middle, and these should be kind of towards the bottom. I know it looks like the top right now, but remember what I said, it's the top now, but then we're gonna flip it over and it's gonna be the bottom. And we don't want our thumb. So I'm gonna leave my thumb here, but I'm just not gonna trace him. Okay, so what usually when you do this, you're gonna wanna do is, if you're a friend that writes with your right hand, you're gonna wanna put your left hand down. If you're a friend that writes with your left hand, put your right hand down. So that way, the hand you write with is the one you're gonna draw, okay? Okay, and that's gonna determine which way the monkey's facing, and that's okay. So some friends might have a monkey facing one way, and some might have them facing the other. All right, so I'm gonna trace my hand. And my fingers are spread apart, as you can see. But I'm gonna kind of stop here where my thumb is. And I'm going to, on my own, just kind of curve this like this. We're eventually gonna change it a little bit, but for now, this will work. Okay, so now turn your paper the other way so that your hand is facing down. Cool? Okay. Now we're doing everything in pencil first, and then we'll outline it with the color we want it. But I think it'll just be easier to do it in pencil. All right, I'm gonna give everyone a second here. Hopefully, if you need a minute to do that, and I'm gonna pull something up real quick. Just be patient with me here. I always like to, on my other computer, look at what the finished product is gonna look like. So that way I feel like I'm doing a good job. Okay, so, oh, and you know what? I'm actually wrong with what I told you. Dang it. I do want it to go this way. Well, that's okay. I think it'll be fine either way. Okay, so I do want your fingers to go this way. I forgot he's gonna be hanging from some branches, so his arms are gonna be up. So keep your paper the right way. My fault. We all make mistakes, don't we? Okay, so we need to make a head, a monkey head. And so depending on whichever way you want him to face is how you can draw your head. Just because I feel like this guy got a little funky here, I'm gonna do it here. So I'm gonna draw just basically like a big circle, right? And it's gonna come back to that like there. Okay. Now you know what? I think, let's see here. I'm gonna change that. Hold on. You know, sometimes artists, when they draw, they have to erase and try again if they don't think they like it. And what I don't like is it looks like he's got this really funky neck. So maybe I went too far with it. So I'm gonna change that up. I do this all the time with my kids in my classroom. I'm like, hold on, that's not right. Let me try that again. Okay, so I'm gonna go just like that. And yes, I like that much better. Okay, hold on, you can't see that. Let me move it over. Like that, okay? Okay, and I might even take it here just a little bit. You know, that's the fun thing about drawing is you can, with a pencil, is you can just fix any little mistake you think you have. Okay, so we have a monkey face here. Curious George has fun hair, right? So I think I'm gonna wait till you get my crayons out to do the hair. But I'm gonna put some eyes on him. So just kind of do a little this and a little this. Okay. You could go circles if you like. Sometimes I like to put little circles in here. Okay. There's his eyes. Okay, he's got kind of a circular nose, kind of a, I'm gonna go like that for his nose. Okay. He always has this big smile on, doesn't he? Always a big smile, that Curious George. So we're gonna give him a big smile. Okay. And he always has, he's got some big ears. We probably should give him some big ears. Because then that's how we know he's a monkey, right? And maybe do a in between there too. There's his monkey ear. Now the ear here on the other side, so you can kind of, I'm gonna kind of do this. Because then I can give him an ear. How about that? There. Okay. Let's see. Oh, you might also want to give him the eyebrow. It might make him look a little nicer. Okay, so I think we're good with our pencil part. I think now we got to do the decorating part. We gotta make him look a little more like a monkey here. Okay. All right. So now my crayons. I'm gonna start with brown because that's what I'm gonna use a lot of here is the brown. Now, there's one thing I was gonna tell you that you could do if you had paint at home. And I thought, well, maybe some friends didn't, so I didn't want to do this. But you really could, if you wanted to get brown paint, you could put your hand, and like I said, not the thumb, but all your other fingers, in paint and then put it on here. Okay, so that's a fun way you could do it. Or like when you're at this step, if you wanted to start using paint instead of crayons, you could. But I'm just gonna go with my crayons. Okay, so I'm gonna do his hair first. So he has some fun hair, and I'm just gonna put some hair on here. Hold on, I hear a noise, but I don't think it's, let me just give me a second here. I just wanna make sure nobody else has joined us. Let me stop. Nope, I don't see anybody. Okay, I heard a noise, so it made me want to just double check. Let me share that screen again. Sorry about that. Yesterday I missed someone, so I don't want to miss anybody today. I feel really bad. All right, give me one sec. There we go. Okay, so we're back. Okay, so I'm putting some hair on him, right? Okay. So he kind of has just a nice thing of hair here that just follows his head. Great, so I'm just kind of giving him some hair here that follows his head. I turn my paper a little bit just to make it easier for me. But then he's got this fun little thing. I think I'm just gonna go all the way down here for a second. But then he's got like this fun thing that just kind of like hangs out, like sticks up in the air kind of thing. Kind of goes like that. He's got hair that kind of does that. Just kind of, I might even put more. Just kind of sticks out like that. That's his hair. Let's see if I can make that look a little nicer. All right, that's my Curious George here. I feel like he needs more hair. He's a monkey, you know. Okay. So then what that cream color is for all of his face, right? Because he really, the monkey's face is kind of cream colored. So I'm just gonna do that all the way around because he's a monkey. And I'm kind of scribbling a little bit because when I take my crayon over my pencil, it doesn't really matter. I don't have to be too precise here. So I'm just gonna shade it all in. Ear here. Okay. George, George, George. Okay. So then all the rest of this is brown because it's his body, right? I'm gonna be a little more careful here as I go around. Kind of like I was saying the other day in our video, as long as you go a little slow along your edges, slow along your edges, then you can go a little faster in the middle. I'm gonna do that. My hand's kind of big. It might take me a while, maybe longer than it takes you guys. Your hands might not be as big as mine. There we go. Monkey all colored in. Hopefully he's starting to look a little more like a monkey. I said slow along your edges, but then you can go a little faster inside each finger. So of course, if you did paint, this would go a lot faster, right? It'd just be a 1 second plop down and you'd be all good to go. But then you'd have brown hands that you'd have to wash up, right? And you might make a mess. Paint can be messy. All right, let's see, we're getting there. All done. 2 more fingers here. All right, last finger. Okay, so right now our lovely Curious George looks like he's just floating in the air. Well, he's not floating in the air, is he? No, we need to draw some branches. So that is where, oh, you know what I'm gonna do before I do the branches? Because I had my black crayon, right? I'm just gonna outline where I have my pencil marks here, just because it just, and I won't go all the way around his face because you kind of want that to be there. But I'm gonna go to where his hairline is at least. Ear there, a little big, sorry. Here, And smile. There's nose, eyes. Get the little dots that I made there. I know sometimes with a crayon, it's kind of hard to do this. When I do things with my kids at school and we have to outline, a lot of times I use a black Sharpie. So if you happen to have a black Sharpie, that might be better than the crayon, but crayon works too. See, there you go. There's your monkey face. Okay, so now comes the green and the blue. And what's fun about this is you're really just gonna draw some fun little lines that looks like what he's hanging from, okay? So I'm first just gonna kind of, and they can just be like swoopy little lines here. See, he's hanging from them, right? You can put some here, okay? And then you can put some blue, because sometimes, you know, it's kind of got these fun colors. Some blue in there. All right. And so there is our monkey hanging down. And maybe you might even, because even though he might not be hanging from the side, you might put some going this way. Just to fill in your picture, you know, you might want more than what you had in there. Those are our little branches, our vines that he's hanging from. And there you go. That is Curious George with your hand. How fun is that? Okay, so that's my beautiful Curious George. I hope yours looks just as lovely. All right, we're gonna go ahead and stop our share. Okay, my friends. So like I said, that was Curious George for today. Tomorrow we Bernstein Bears and junk food. And tomorrow we're gonna actually make a snack that is art. It's gonna look cool and then we're gonna eat it. So don't forget to make sure you have all your supplies that you need for that, okay? All right, and like I said, hopefully maybe by tomorrow I might have my schedule all lined up so I can share with you what next week will be like. Okay guys, have a good day. Thank you for joining us.